Hello, this is Ann Babson. I am teaching you English 231 British Literature this semester. And I thought I would make a slideshow about a question that I often get asked by students at the beginning of the semester for a class which may seem challenging to many students. How do I get an A in this class? And I think it's a fair question, and I have some advice. Here are 10 things that you can do to get an A in this class. What I'm saying here is not an absolute guarantee of an A, but anyone who does get an A has very likely done each of these 10 things. So I would advise you to do them as well. I would also say that my ideas for this class are applicable to many other classes. I congratulate you or if you are not feeling overwhelmed by the content of this class. Some students are feeling confident about this class in British literature. If you're one of them, hooray! But maybe you're not one of those students. Maybe you are slightly nervous or extremely nervous. That's okay too. I have some advice. Don't freak out. What can a student do to ace this class? Again, I'm talking to the people who are confident, perhaps overconfident. I'm also talking to the people who are not at all confident. We will talk about this. Number one thing to do for this class is show up. It has been said 99% of all success is just showing up. Here I have put a photograph of a student who has shown up. And here's what I would say. I'm going to read this verbatim off of what I wrote. Imagine for a moment you have read something from my class and you have no idea what is going on in the thing that you were assigned to read. You did do the reading and you say this might as well have been in some alien space language because I don't understand. You can still get a good day grade for participation if you are in class, but not just in class physically. You have to be in class mentally, fully prepared to do your work. Just showing up that way is the first step to a good grade. So how would I know you were fully participating and mentally prepared to do your work? Here are some significant ways I would know that. Number two, bring the correct volume of the textbook to class. You will know in advance of each class, based on what's in the syllabus, what we are going to go over, and I will tell you possibly by email to bring an additional volume, but you will bring that volume to class. If you don't bring the volume, you have already announced to me you're not mentally prepared to do the work. And if you don't bring the volume, I am taking points off your participation grade, which is a significant amount of this class's grade. It's the easiest thing in the world to do. We do have a lot of volumes, but you don't have to bring the entire canon of British literature, just the one book a day. So please bring the correct volume of the textbook to class. In some cases, that will mean something that's simply been photocopied. Toward the end of the class in particular, we're going to be reading this a short novel that is something that you can just download off of Moodle. I'll ask you to bring those pages at that time. Always bring the volume of textbook that correspond to the reading. Always, always do that. I do grade on the basis of your having done. I cannot stress this enough. I cannot stress this enough. Turn off your dang cell phone. I mean it. I mean it. I mean it. And also, don't think you're being sly. I will tell you the secret of all professors. If you are looking down in your crotch and smiling, and I can't see your hands, I know you're not just smiling at your crotch. You're texting. Don't text. Ask questions in class. This is very important. I do grade on the basis of this when I think of participation grades for students, and it will most definitely help you. There's no shame in not understanding something. I have given you hard and challenging texts to read. You would be overqualified to even sit in the classroom if you understood everything right away. There's no shame in not understanding something unless you are determined to remain ignorant. How would I know if you didn't understand something that you were determined to remain ignorant? If you clearly didn't understand and refused to ask any questions at all, even just I didn't understand it when, or the place where this totally lost me was, how do I understand it better? Those are good questions. I will work with you. You get participation credit for asking questions. What an easy thing to do. You don't have to be a rocket scientist that day. You just need to raise your hand and ask a question. Also, I'm sure you figured out that I work for you. They pay me, you pay tuition, they pay me to do, among other things, answer your questions. I work for you. Make me work. That is my job, but I cannot answer a question you haven't asked. I think you understand that. Make me work. You have to work, so do that. Number 5, always take meticulous notes in class. This will help you so much for the exam studying. You're going to need lecture notes. I don't just expect you to understand the book, but there will be things that I expect you to understand about the book that we are reading. I think it would be helpful for you to hear what I have to say on it. I talk a lot about historic periods in which these works were written, and it will be significantly helpful for you to know what I'm going to say. You are going to need notes about questions other students ask in class and the answers they receive. Sometimes you know what you want to ask me. Sometimes another student asks a question you didn't even think of, but that really is a good question. You want to write down what they say. And I want to be very clear about something. You cannot just put your phone on your desk and hit record. I do not let people record my classes. First of all, I consider that a violation of good sense policies that other universities have instituted, because occasionally students with grudges have recorded and spliced recordings to make professors sound as if they were advocating for positions they did not hold. And I think that that's just bad. But number 2, actually much more importantly, because I don't actually believe you're all part of some conspiracy, is that if you just sit and record, even if you had a video camera attached to your head and you recorded the whole class, ultimately, that's not how your brain is going to absorb the ideas that are in there. I don't let people even take notes in computers because studies show that movements of handwriting are the ones that help students retain information the best. So we're kicking it old school in this class. Bring a good old-fashioned notebook to class and take good old-fashioned notes. You're going to want to use these notes to review for any exam. The final exam, my goodness, the notes you take at the beginning of the class will be especially helpful to you as we approach the final exam in early December. You may not remember every detail of what I said in class if you haven't taken good notes. Also, in the rare event you might need to be absent, I highly recommend asking another student in the class to share notes with you, and you should have a copy of what they said. You need them. It will help you study. Always do the reading. What do I test you on in the exams? The reading. What do I ask you to write papers about? The reading. It is okay for you to be in a position of not understanding what the heck is going on in something you have read. I understand some of this stuff is quite confusing. It is also okay when you are confused to use a source like SparkNotes or No Fear Shakespeare to help you understand why you actually do the reading. So in other words, let's say you read what's in your textbook and then you say, I have no idea what Othello is doing, and you go to No Fear Shakespeare. That's wonderful. That's fantastic. Please do that. But don't do the following. It is not okay to read the SparkNotes only or the No Fear Shakespeare only. I will know if you have done this because I'm not going to ask you exam questions that resemble the SparkNotes. I have also seen the SparkNotes. I write the tests. Therefore, you need to be prepared to answer my questions, which will go outside the parameters of a simple understanding that SparkNotes can help students start to get. You will need to do both. And I really don't recommend totally ignoring the assignment. Why? You are graded on your understanding of the reading. Bottom line, your ability to express a clear understanding of it in writing is how you do well in this class. So ignoring the assignment means you're not prepared to answer questions about that reading. So be the student like you see in the photograph, the model who has appeared in a number of these photographs, who is here staring into the book, doing her best. Do the homework in a timely manner. Look at the face of that poor, sad student by her computer. I understand. It is not always fun to do homework. In fact, most of the time, it kind of stinks. It's no fun. But deadlines have the word dead in them for a reason, and to prove that, I made the letters grow here. You really want to observe deadlines in my class because I do not accept late homework unless somebody died or ended up in the hospital. And I will ask for proof of that if you want me to excuse your ability to do homework, which is mostly posted online. There, on the rarest of rare occasions, I might ask you to bring something into class, but that's not mostly how I operate. Mostly, I ask you to consider things that are online, and you can do that from many different places. I count homework as a fair amount toward the total semester grade because it lets me know that you are considering what you have read, and it is usually a good place to begin. Number 8, think about the class papers well in advance of the due date. A student would have a nightmare scenario if she or he were to simply wait to the last minute and say, oh no, we have a paper due tomorrow, and scramble. Don't be that student. Notice when the due dates are for the papers. You'll be able to see things pretty quickly about them. The syllabus will tell you the due dates already. If not immediately available, you can look on Moodle for the prompt well in advance of the due date. The prompt would be the series of questions that you can choose from to answer in your paper. Make a plan to organize your ideas on the topic in advance. You're going to need to set aside extra time for this. Do more than one draft. Not even Shakespeare was Shakespeare on his first draft. Whoever you are and however well you write, you want to write more than one draft. Take advantage of the Writing Center on campus if you need help. There are tutors who will help you solve problems in papers for free. All you need to do is to talk to them. They're in D. Vickers 210. I highly recommend them. Number 9, not required, but I would suggest considering forming a study group. The first reason is beyond anything that you will learn in my class. The first is getting to know other students is always a good idea in college. If you're in a study group, you may become friends with some of those people. Maybe that person you wish you could date who hasn't paid any attention to you will notice you because you're just so awesome in the study group. Who knows? Weirder things have happened. I am, at my ancient age, still friends with a young woman I met freshman year at college who studied French with me. That's always good to have friends. More importantly, for the class specifically, other people are concerned about how to succeed in this class, and they feel challenged too. I'm not the easiest teacher you'll ever take. I don't think I'm the cruelest, and I definitely don't think I'm the hardest one who possibly could exist. But you'd want to have safety in numbers. Working together before exams to memorize key terms, identify key passages, and consider themes helps students succeed. Be a student who succeeds, perhaps in this manner. Don't be this girl. That's number 10. Get a good night's sleep before exam days. Look how completely freaked out she looks. That's how some people look to me on exam days. Don't be that girl. One way not to be that student who's freaking out because she forgot everything she studied before the test is to get a full night's sleep. Getting a full night's sleep really will help you. Don't be the student who is so overtired she or he cannot think clearly on the day of an exam. And generally, this is a good idea. Manage your time well while you are in college. You have competing priorities, including your social life, which I don't think is worthless, but I do think you have to manage your time so that you have a social life, have a work life. Many of you have jobs outside of college, and also have time with your families, have time at work, for schoolwork, but you're going to have to carefully manage your time because the demands of this class will not change. You have to master them with a clear schedule and some discipline. So there you have it. Look how happy this woman is. She is clearly getting an A in my class. Any student, including this woman with the very nice earrings, who follows these 10 guidelines, is very likely to do well in my class. And I would suggest to you that these strategies have legs. They will work in other classes as well. Good study habits are usually more than half the battle in college. I believe that any student who does absolutely all of this is likely to get a good grade. And wouldn't it be wonderful? I would be thrilled if I had to go to the administration and explain myself and say, I am so sorry, but look at how well these students did throughout the semester. Without exception, I have to give A's to my entire class. They've simply earned it. This would be the most lovely thing that could happen in my career and quite possibly yours. So I would suggest to you, let's be that class. I believe you can and will succeed. I especially believe you will succeed if you follow these guidelines. So make me have to make that phone call to the administration and explain why everyone got an A. Be among those students who have so dazzled Southeastern Louisiana University.